The most brutal stat you will hear all day. Joe Burrow has been blitzed at the number one lowest rate of any quarterback in the last 4 years. So that means the amount of quarterbacks that get blitzed, like a blitz play, Joe does not get blitzed often. And the reason why is because every team who plays us knows how bad our offensive line is. They don't have to blitz us. If you can get home and get to Joe with a 3-man rush or 4-man rush, there's no reason to send exotic looks. There's no reason to send crazy angles at Joe. If you can get home with only little to nothing, there's no reason to not, or in any way to do anything else. So that's the problem. Like, you don't have to do crazy stuff. Why throw out a crazy blitz if you're getting to Joe with 3 guys? But he has been hit within 2.5 seconds at the number one highest rate. See, this is why I say Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the league. This is why it is so amazing he got to the Super Bowl, by the way, with these stats and with this offensive line being so absolutely awful. And again, this is why he is the best quarterback. Because if Patty Mahomes had this same exact stat line, he wouldn't have 3 rings. If Lamar Jackson had this exact same stat as we're reading here, he would still choke in the playoffs, but he wouldn't have 3 MVP awards or 2 MVP awards. Like, he wouldn't. Josh Allen wouldn't. That's just a fact. You could say, oh, well, Josh and Lamar and Patrick are great. Yes, they're great quarterbacks. They're all great quarterbacks. And I understand, well, but Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Does it matter if you can't throw the ball? If you're going to get hit within seconds, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, let's say you have Zay Flowers, but you have 5 more seconds to throw the football. I would probably still take. I would still 100% take Jamar Chase. But I'm very biased as well. But, the point is, you want more time to throw the football. And then everyone's like, oh, wow, he's injury prone. He's injury prone. No wonder. He's not injury prone. No wonder he gets injured. 2.5 seconds? Burrow's been hit within 2.5 seconds, 25% more than the second most hit quarterback in the league. That is insanely crazy. Honestly, the Bengals front office, to let Frank Pollock be our offensive line coach for so long with how bad he was, to not prioritize protecting your quarterback. I think someone commented on my video and said, what the Bengals did was they bought a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, any sports car you want to say, and they bought a house in the hood. Right? They bought a house in the hood, but they made sure they bought the Lamborghini, but they bought a house in the hood, and they wonder why all the wheels are going. Their car is trashed. Their car is being broken into. There's a reason why. You gotta... And that's what's so frustrating is, I know I stress this enough in all my videos. The number one thing, okay? The number one thing, the most important thing when building a football team. You need an offensive line. Yes, you need a franchise quarterback. Yes, you need franchise receivers. But you need an offensive line. If you don't have an offensive line, you can't run the ball. If you don't have an offensive line, you can't throw the ball. If you don't have an offensive line, you can't win games. And Joe does it. That's why he's the best. Because he still does it. Okay? That's why he's the best quarterback in the league. Patrick Mahomes has had 2 awful offensive lines. Guess what happened? Buccaneers, he got smacked up and down the wall. He went against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, got smacked up and down the wall. That's number one. Number two is you got to get a defensive line. You got to get to the quarterback. It's not hard. Win in the trenches. That's the most important thing possible. And we have done everything humanly possible from this front office to refuse to fix those issues. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. Because at the end of the day, we're watching one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever do his stuff. And he is being limited. He is being, pulled back because of a front office that refuses to protect him. Which is insanely crazy. I mean, ask any other team in the league. Say, hey, we're going to give you the best quarterback to ever play the game. All you got to do is protect the guy. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But it is what it is, I have screamed this from till the cows come home. That this is something that we need to do. You win in the trenches. You got to worry your defensive line. You got to worry in your offensive line. If you don't do that, you're not going to win games. Like, it all starts up front. It really does. And we are countless times just not figuring that out, or they just don't care. It's one of the two. You don't know what you're doing, and you're not qualified to do what you're doing, or you just don't care. And again, it does come down to positional coaches developing young talent, right? At the end of the day, you have to have guys in there coaching-wise to develop these young guys. And that's why, if you follow this channel, the last 3 years, I was preaching for 3 straight years, probably in over 600 videos, saying the same dang thing. Fire Frank Pollock. I kept saying it over and over and over again. And it felt like it was going on deaf ears because the front office refused to do so. They refused. Every single time they refused. And finally they did it this offseason. And I am so proud that they did it. But at the end of the day, it's step one. That's not it. That's not all you have to do. Okay, you don't just rip the Band-Aid and say, all right, we're good, everything's fine. No, you have to continue. Work on the offensive line. Figure out the offensive line. Fix the offensive line. Do more. Okay? You're doing baby steps, and I get it, right? The Bengals front office, what they like to do is a thing called baby steps. They kind of twinkle the toes down the line and say, well, we did it. Yeah, you did it. You did one thing. Now let's do another thing, okay? This is a good step forward, but this is not it. It's not the final step. There's more to this than just what we did so far. It's frustrating to see these stats because this is like, it's not a simple fix. And I also want to point this out, by the way, right? This is not a simple fix, okay? Going ahead and figuring the situation out, it's not going to be like something you get done within an afternoon, okay? This is a really, really long reconstruction of positional coaches, which I think we figured that part out, right, with Scott Peters. Love Scott Peters. But it's also, the higher up. I always say cut the head off the snake. You got to cut the head off the snake, okay? If you want to figure this all out, you got to cut the head off the snake, and then it trickles down. And yes, that means fire the front office. Wipe it out. Get a new front office in there. Get some new people in there who know what the heck they're doing. And then you move on from there. Now, be honest, the head of the snake goes a little bit higher than that. But we're gonna start there. But again, it's not an easy process because you can't make something easy when you have someone fighting you on it. That's also another thing. It's easier when you have, a back and forth and you can figure things out. But when you have one party who refuses and thinks that there's not a problem, you're never going to figure out the problem. And I think that's really also the biggest issue. It's like one side says, there's no problem here. We're all good. We're all fine. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're not all fine. But until that's the first step of denial, is accepting there's a problem and then figuring out a way to find a solution. Anyway, comment down below your thoughts and opinions. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.